Hello, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of Blue Row. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors, peace, and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this, wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. First off, I'd like to say that it is my hope and prayer that I could do a couple of short videos throughout the day. I'm claiming it. If not, then it just wasn't in the cards. But through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi outside prayer, if I can, get like 5 to 10, or 5 to 8 minute videos throughout the day. There's some small ones that don't need much, but they are also heavy hitting. But we'll start with this one. Again, I don't have any scriptures lined up. I just happen to see this, while I'm at the plantation, and I thought that this was a very clever thing that Moab is doing, trying to spark the folks from within. Not, and don't forget, they own land here, and there are a lot of Moabites here. Not only them, you got Elam. Okay, you have the different Hamite nations that crowded the border. But they kept saying that it was only Issachar and the Northern Kingdom tribes. Okay, they tried to pin it on them, and make the average everyday low IQ Joe Schmo Edomite, giving them a reason to hate the Northern Kingdom brothers even more than what they already do. And so never, don't forget about that. Don't forget who was at the border. All those people that were at the border. Those fighting aged males, right? And you know what? Let's get Esau's definition. I believe they call them combatants, and that was outlined. When I was in, there were clear outlines of who fell under the who fell under the category of enemy combatant. All right. How do I word this? Or should I say LOAC, Law of Armed Conflict? We'll stick with this. What's categorized? How about that? Combatant. I may have to reword it. We'll see. Okay, under international humanitarian law, privileged or unprivileged. No, that's not it. There you go. Let's see. Remember, there's males. So how about that? We'll do it. LOAC. But basically, they're okay. Person who's legally entitled under LOAC. So this is for two countries, two sovereign nations, right? That engage in combat. It's law of armed conflict, right? Uh, it's not what I'm looking for. That's fine. Doesn't matter. The point here is they were military or fighting aged males at the border. Let me not get past the point that I was trying to get. All right, 18 to 30 maybe. Most of them are all of them in great shape. Nobody obese. Uh, and let me put this on D&D. Yeah, it's not gonna. Okay, that's fine. We'll come back to it. But I'm gonna let this play. And actually, before we do, I'm kind of all over the place. Forgive me. We need to be in 25. But what we're witnessing is the fall of your enemy, and don't mistake the Moab for your ally or for your friend. The enemy of your enemy is not your friend. Okay, but I know those of us who have the proper understanding aren't going to think that the Lord uses nations to take over other nations, as you can read throughout the entirety of the scriptures. Or hell, even if you go through Daniel 7, all right, the Persians were used to take over Babylon, right? The Greeks, or AKA Edom, Esau, Edom was used to take over the Persians, okay? And each time we were under captivity. This time here, the Lord is going to use one nation to take over another, and then Yahushua is going to come and render all of them null and void, basically. Here's what we got. Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach or Sirach, chapter 25, verse 7. There be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and the 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that hath the joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemies. And that is what we are witnessing. Okay, total chaos, is about to ensue here. And just as America was invaded, or just as our Northern Kingdom brothers were invaded and overtaken and by blood, this place will go out in that exact same way. So here we go.
It was from a Chinese national saying, you guys are all blaming China, you're blaming us, but it's really your own fault, and America now needs.
But who they're specifically talking to, right, is Edom, because these devils will blame everybody else for their problems. It is everyone else's fault but their own. And you can eat that spirit is true unto this, even from Genesis 27. Shit. Let's get that real quick too, where between Jacob and Esau, where the birthright was always supposed to go to Jacob, but Esau, with no forethought, okay, just eager to serve his belly. All right, no spiritual forecasting, no none of that, just completely carnal. Gave up the birthright, and then tried to say that Jacob stole it, and then got mad and blamed him for the days of my father. The days of my father are at hand, for I will slay my brother Jacob. Right. Okay, let's go fast forward. Okay, so he came in crying as if he didn't just do it to himself. And that is what you see here, where they go and they mess with these other nations. All right, they try to implement these racist laws, and they always end up backfiring when they implement these certain coups and stuff like that around the other nations, round about them, and that ends up backfiring. Look at is not real right now. They set up the H group. And now look at how that has backfired on them, because all they do is lie. And what happens when you lie? You have to lie and lie on top of another one just so you can keep up. Let's see. Let me fast forward. Where are we reading? Okay. Where are we at? Thy brother came, subtlety. Isaac answered and said to Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord. I just want to get to the part where he's bitching and crying about something he did to himself. By thy sword shalt thou live. 41. Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father had blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. So you mad you want to kill your brother over something that you did. Same thing with Cain and Abel. Cain knew what he was supposed to sacrifice. He knew what he was supposed to do and didn't do it. And then he slew Abel for being righteous. And the Bible follows that spirit, that Edomite spirit, all the way Cain to from Cain to Esau, all the way through, or from the even farther back, that serpent that beguiled Eve to Cain to Esau. It is the same spirit, and you see it here now, even throughout these Edomites. That's who this Moabite is talking to. Don't blame us, right? Always trying to blame somebody else for their own misdeeds.
A revolution.
They rob you blind and you thank them for it. That's a tragedy. That's a scam. That's why I'm saying this right now. Americans, You don't need a tariff. You need a revolution. For decades, your government and oligarchs ship your job to China, not for diplomacy, not for peace, but to exploit cheap labors. And in the process, they hollowed out your middle class, crushed your working class, and told you to be proud while they sold your future for profit. And yes, China made money, but we used it to build roads, lift millions out of poverty, fund healthcare, raise living standard. We reinvested in our people. My family also benefited from it. What did your oligarchs do? They bought yachts, private jets, and mansions with golf course driveways. They manipulate the market, dodged tax, and poured billions into endless wars. And you get stagnated wages, crippling healthcare costs, cheap dopamine, debt, and flagged wave property made in China while they pick your pocket. For 40 years, both China and the United States benefit from the trade, the manufacturing, but only one of us use that wealth to build. This isn't China's fault. This is yours. You let this happen. You let the oligarchs feed you lies while they made you fat, poor, and addicted. Now they blame China for mess they made. I don't think so. I don't think you need another tariff. You need to wake up. You need to take your country back. I think you need a revolution.
I think that's very, very clever on their end, which is another reason why too many people are connecting the dots here with this good old internet, this good old unicorn. So they're gonna have to come down with great wrath here pretty soon. Um, but who knows? Maybe that's what they're looking for. They're looking to push that quote unquote revolution, so they can implement what they want to implement. Which we all, those of us have been in this thing for any amount of time. You know what they want? That a digital prison, a technological prison for its people. Um, But yeah, I thought, don't ever forget, the enemy of your enemy in this case is not your friend, because the Moabites over there in Africa treating them people like dog shit. Okay, and some of them are Jake over there, and it is true they did go and they did build. Esau, Edom is the only one that knows how to destroy with whatever blessing that they have, which which is why the Lord set it up in the spirit first for Jacob to have it in the beginning. All right, the way the story played out is how it played out. Hey, the Lord is a master playwright. But could you imagine them getting dominion forever? A nation of people who only know how to destroy, who only know greed, who only know war. They always have money for war, and everything that they create, it's created to waste. Their creations are created to waste. It's amazing. There's something and I'm never. It never ceases to amaze me. The more and more I think about that, or the way I think about how the scriptures and how the Lord created the perfect, clean contrary uh, uh, to His righteous people on the earth. Now there are 2/3 of our people. Um, who act like their father, and that's on them. They will get the 2/3 here on this side, but that remnant is what the Lord has set apart. What was I getting? Psalms 83, and we'll end it with that. Okay, the enemy of your enemy is not your friend, because everybody had a hand. We'll start with verse 2. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they hate thee that have lifted up the head. They hate thee, have lifted up the head, Shalak. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasharallah may be no more in remembrance. And for a time it was. But, according to prophecy, we, in the land of our captivities, we will remember ourselves, and you're seeing it. And don't be discouraged by, because I see it on the internet a little bit. I see here and there, Jake is, don't. It's the camps. The camps is they doing this and they doing that. But the truth be told, without the camps, none of us would know anything. All right. The Lord put the spirit on those men to go out and do what they do, and even the ones that were reprobate are still telling their people who they are. Okay, so if you are seeing this and you are, first time listener, peruser, whatever, um, the only camp you should be listening to is GMS and those of their affiliates. Okay, if they ain't giving double honors to the elders and the apostles, and they're not using the proper names, Yahweh by Yahweh Shai, okay, do not listen to them. Do not listen to them. You should only be listening to GMS and their affiliates. Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent, and they are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek. All right, you know who Amalek is. He's the grandson of Edom, so that's twice because they are the head of the nation of